Are you happy at work? Well, if not, we have this thought for you. Maybe you're just not in touch with your inner feelings.
In this final installment of our feature series, CKCO's Franklin profiles a man who is and understands his labor of love.
I enjoy the fact that we don't have to be at work at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Our hours are quite scattered.
Bruce McGilvery has played the bass in the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony for 22 years. With midday rehearsals and nighttime performances, it's not a 9-to-5 job. And in fact, much of McGilvery's practicing is done on his own time.
When we go home in the afternoon, our work isn't finished. Our work isn't finished until the concert has been completed. So you could be working on your own. We have to prepare all of the music before we rehearse. Otherwise, it's called sight reading, and our conductor doesn't like that. Smooth bow, smooth bow.
McGilvery's job satisfaction also comes from passing along his musical knowledge.
Crescendo. Okay, let's try it again. Because teaching, it's sort of completing the cycle. I was taught, and now I seem to be teaching students about the high school age or a little bit older. And yeah, after a lot of woodshedding and not too much crying, we're getting some good results.
Symphony players aren't in it for the money, and that's one reason workplace expert Jim Clemmer says people in such occupations can often love their work.
People who tend to be very fulfilled in their work tend to see their work not as a job so much as almost a calling, or almost with a deeper sense of purpose or mission.
And Bruce McGilvery will likely go on loving his job because there's no end to what he can learn.
In one lifetime, you can't know every piece of music. You could arrive at a certain plateau.
Great music. Now, before we leave the subject of happiness, some final thoughts from our expert on workplace issues.
Jim Clemmer is the best-selling author of Firing on All Cylinders and Pathways to Performance. He is also widely published in business columns and is a respected keynote speaker.
And he warns that taking charge of your life takes courage.
Some of the most courageous people that I've met are people who have left what others would consider to be secure jobs, sometimes making fabulous incomes, to really follow their heart, to really pursue what they love to do. And they may be, in the minds of others, less successful today because they're running this fledgling little company that's not, by most people's opinion, perhaps doing super well, or they aren't in this high prestigious sort of job anymore, but they love what they do. They can face themselves in the mirror every morning and feel much prouder of who they are, feel much truer to who they are. And I think they're successful. I think they're much more successful than the person who stays trapped in a role they hate. And one of the statistics I think that's really tragic is that most heart attacks occur at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, which really tells us that an awful lot of people are literally dying from their work. And some of the numbers, I think, are frightening. That we live in one of the richest countries in the world, with billions of people who'd give anything to trade places with us to be here in Canada, and yet so many people, it's off to work they go, it's a four-letter word, it's all the things that we hear about how horrible work is. Well then, why are you there?
So here are Jim's keys to taking charge. The first is being in touch with your passion and understanding that work is more than a job. It expresses who you are.
And following your dreams takes lifelong learning, so you have to enjoy challenges and not fear changes. Visualizing your goal is also important too. Jim suggests you imagine what your life should be like in 5 years from now.
And finally, the big one, knowing your core beliefs and finding your sense of purpose.
We'd like to thank Jim for making himself available to Action News. And if you'd like any further information on the subject, you can reach him at his Kitchener office or on the net at www.clemmer-group.com.